Okay, thanks, Boyce. You can sit down for me. We're going to talk a little bit about Alaska today. Have you ever had to wait for a moose and a calf to cross the highway while you're driving? Or have you ever seen a black bear just kind of walking along the trees not too far from your car, from where you're standing? Or have you ever seen a glacier calf? Well, www.alaska2 tells us that if we go to Alaska, we might see those things. And I'd like to encourage you to go there on your next vacation, or at least think about it, because it's an awesome place to visit. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the beautiful landscape today, some of the family activities that you can do when you go there, and some of the history and culture about the state. So you say, why visit Alaska? Convince me. Alaska is just plainly a beautiful place to go. This is another view of Childs Glacier near Cordova, Alaska. I visited this about 2 years ago, and the center section of the glacier, the leading edge, fell off into the water, and that's called calving. We got to witness that. We saw it fall. www.fs.fed.us tells us that Alaska has over 100,000 glaciers that live throughout the state. They move and change, and they're considered to be living parts of the state. Alaska has a glacier-favoring climate and topography, so that's why it has so many glaciers. www.childsglacier.com is going to tell you more about this specific glacier. At www.alaskascenes.com, we learn more about the wildlife. Alaska has many types of birds. This is one that we happen to see at Denali National Park. It's probably an eagle. There's bald eagles and golden eagles that are commonly seen in the park. We'll also see things like caribou and bears and sheep and moose. This is one of the caribou that lives in Denali National Park in Alaska. Because Alaska has lots of coastline, you will see a lot of marine life in Alaska as well. If you spend much time by the coast, probably see whales, dolphin, porpoise, sea otters, maybe salmon, and other kinds of marine life. Alaska has some beautiful mountain ranges as well. Very majestic. Here's some snow-capped mountains. And here's a picture of some tree-covered mountains with a nice little valley that runs through there. And of course, we can't talk about Alaska unless we talk about Mount McKinley. Mount McKinley is also called Denali by the local people. Denali is a word that means the high one. And it's very honestly earned its name because it's the highest mountain peak in North America. It's over 20,000 feet above sea level. And as you can see by the pictures that we looked at so far, there's a lot of unspoiled wilderness in Alaska, thousands and thousands of acres. At night you can see lots of stars, and the northern lights are very commonly seen in Alaska. It's something also it's very popular for. So, in addition to all this natural beauty we've always seen, you also will know that we can do a lot of family activities if you go to Alaska. There's guided tours about any type of transportation you can imagine, by bus, by ferry, by dog sled. Here we were on a train tour. You can also take tours by ferry and, of course, by cruise ship. You can also take a hiking tour in some of those unspoiled wilderness areas. Whale watching is another popular activity to do in Alaska. www.whalewatchersalaska.com helps us learn when we can see certain types of whales and what time of the year. It's common to see belugas, gray whales, blue whales, humpback whales, and others. Here's a whale breaching, and there's its tail. We got to see that when we were on the ferry. Other open-air activities that families like to do when they go to Alaska are hunting and fishing and kayaking and others as well, maybe even dog sledding. So we have the scenery, we have the family activities that we can do, and thirdly, there's many opportunities to learn about the history of Alaska when you go there. www.alaskanative.net helps us learn about the customs and traditions and crafts and artwork of the indigenous people, the Native American people that first lived there. Here we see one of their totem poles and some of the tools that they likely used many years ago. There's also camps and tours that you can take to learn about the gold rush days of Alaska. and museums that focus on things like World War II memorabilia and the archaeological findings and even the pipeline. So I hope that by this brief introduction you see that Alaska might be a really great place to go for a vacation due to its beautiful scenery, the abundant wildlife, many family activities that you can do, and also the rich history that you can learn about while you're there. So, if you choose to go to Alaska, and I really hope you do, be sure to take your camera. Thanks so much, boys. Would you like to stand up for the camera again?